Hello, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Father Sammie, and while I have no formal training in cooking, I really like food and I've learned some things along the way and I'd love to share them with you. But before we begin, I'd like to ask you to like, share, and subscribe to this video so that we can continue bringing you this kind of content. So today, it's all about oranges. We're going to do a variety of food. We have a few people coming over today. We're going to make an orange cake. We're going to make an orange fennel salad. We're going to make blackened salmon with an orange glaze. And we're going to make rice with mandarin oranges. So I hope you enjoy the show and let's get going. So the first thing we're going to do today is something I like to do whenever I use the zest, and almost both in savory and in baking, zest, especially lemon zest, is becoming something like common that we use almost in every dish. So this is a microplaner. If you don't have one of these, get one of these. This is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. And what we're going to do is I've zested a couple oranges here with the microplaner. We're going to add that to the sugar because the recipe calls for the zest of 3 oranges. So this is how you do it. Just go along the line like this. And that way you can systematically go through your orange or your lemon or your grapefruit, whatever citrus that you're using. And like I said today, citrus becomes important in both savory and in dessert making. So now I've zested my 3rd orange. I have the zest inside here. Now, instead of just adding the zest to the mix, we're going to get all our zest in here and we're going to food process this. And as it food processes, both the blades and the heat are going to heat up that zest and it's going to release all its oil. So we're going to get a far more beneficial product by doing this than simply adding it to the batter. What you're going to have to do is periodically go in just like you do with any kind of making a batter and scrape the sides. Make sure that the zest is not getting clumped in one area. I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times until we're sure that it's fully. Now if you look in here, you see it's a nice orange color. Okay, so now we have our sugar. So what I've done is taken 3 eggs and I've separated them. You have to be very careful when you separate your eggs. I usually use 3 containers, 1 for the yolk, 1 for the white, just in case any yolk gets into the white. And then once the white's in, I take it and put it in the 3rd container. So part of our mise en place is that we're going to beat these eggs, whites, because here's the problem with a lot of scratch cakes. You make a scratch cake, and it can be a little dense. And so get that going. It could be a little dense. So the way this particular orange cake, because it doesn't use any, it actually uses just oranges chopped up. There's no other liquid. There's no milk. There's no water, and so it can be dense. So what we're doing is we're going to whip our egg whites and then fold them in, and that's going to lift the batter and make it a lighter batter. So I think these are about done. If you can see, it's got a soft peak. It's not really hard. And what we're going to do is take this and put it in the refrigerator until we need it. This recipe calls for 2 full oranges. So these are cara oranges. You never tried a cara orange. It's really amazing. So I'm going to cut the ends off of the orange. And then I'm going to cut it in quarters and then cut it in 1/8. And I am going to remove that little pithy part in the center, that little strainer thing, but otherwise this is what goes into the whole thing. So we're going to do that now. We're going to get the food processor back out here and we're going to turn this into mush. So I'm taking the 2 oranges that are cut into eighths and I'm putting it in the food processor. You'll notice we've already zested the orange, but we still have the rind on there. Isn't that a strange thing? So this takes in everything. So now we have this mush that we're going to use in our mise en place. I'm going to put it in a bowl. Now I think we're about ready to start. So all this is just getting prepared. But let me tell you, it will save you a lot of heartache. If you try to do a recipe while you're reading it, you need to get all your ingredients out, check and double check, or you're going to make mistakes. It may not happen every time, but sooner or later it's going to happen. So better be safe than sorry, right? I want to make sure that all that flour is gone. We don't want to see any flour in this batter. Now we're going to take, now if I just did this, we'd have a really dense and heavy cake. It wouldn't be that enjoyable. So that's why we separated the eggs and whipped these. And we're going to put this meringue inside the batter. And if we did it soft enough, if we didn't beat the egg whites too much, it should easily incorporate. I do it in a round. So it's been greased and lightly floured, and I'm just going to put the batter in. Because this batter is thick, you really have to take the extra time to even it out, or you're going to have it won't spread when it bakes. I'm going to put this into an oven that is set at 325. Normally you would bake a cake at 350. In my oven, I have to play, everyone has a different oven, but the big thing is I'm using a dark pan. If you use a dark pan, you should lower the temperature a little bit or it's going to burn on the edges and the bottom. So this is going to go in a 325 oven for about, start checking it at 35 minutes. This is a cake that I made last night. Now, here's a secret, a bakery secret for when you bake cakes. First thing I do, as soon as it's cool enough to take it out of the pan, I put it in the freezer. That'll keep the cake moist inside. The ice crystals form, and then when it thaws out, it loosens up and softens the interior and the exterior of the cake. So that's just a little bakery secret. You notice that you go get a cake, they're always pulling cakes out of the freezer, right? So that's not just because they want to have something ready. It actually helps the process. So what I've done here is I've taken 1 Cara orange and about 3/4 cup of powdered sugar and the juice of a Cara orange. And I'm just going to glaze this. Just make a little line around here and just keep going. Okay, well, if I need the rest of it, I'll use it. I don't want it too. And then we're just going to smooth this out, have it drip over to the sides. It looks nice. And there you go. Orange cake made from scratch using whole oranges. Wow. Can't wait for you to try this one. here we have wild caught salmon. The skin has been removed. And normally I would salt and pepper that. When you put the salt on it, it makes the meat more substantial. But because we're going to put this in a rub, I'm afraid to make it too salty. So I'm going to coat this with some olive oil. Just get in with my hands and rub it all down. This is going to help the mixture stick. So for Christians, fish has a special meaning. Early in Christian, there were several things that Christians had to do because they were being persecuted to identify other Christians. And one was they would put look like a picture of a fish, go around like this. And you've probably seen those modern things. They have Jesus in. Originally, it was a Greek word, ichthus, and it translates to Son of God. So it was kind of like a secret symbol for Christians, And today I wonder, with all the political correctness and how they're trying to keep our faith just into our buildings and not in the public place, if that secret symbol isn't something that will come in handy in the future. Anyway, so we've oiled all our salmon. This is blackening season. You can make it yourself. I was going to do that today. I didn't have time. So I'm just using a product that works. Spiceologist I get on Amazon called Black Magic. It works fine. Again, if you're going to make a bunch of this, then maybe it's worth making yourself and storing. I'm not going to do this heavily because the people coming for lunch today, I'm not sure if they would like too spicy. So the beauty of this dish is sort of like sweet and sour in a sense. You're going to have the spice of the black seasoning and then the sweetness of orange marmalade. Perfect. I wanted it to be a little charred, and it is. Great. Okay. We're going to take this out. Maybe she can bring that salmon right back in because the rice. We got to get the rice on. That's what I need to do. So I have 2 cups of jasmine rice. I'm putting it into 2 tablespoons of heated olive oil, and I'm going to toss it in here to coat all the rice. Now, this was already pre-rinsed. Usually you use rice, you need to rinse it. So I'm just going to let this toast a little bit in here. And then let me talk to you a little bit as that heats up with coconut water. Coconut water comes in, not coconut milk, because you get this mixed up. This is coconut water. And when you do rice, you can put broth or anything to flavor it. This is going to give it a nice flavor. You have to use a strainer, though, because there's pieces of coconut in this. So you strain out the coconut and you use just the water. We're going to add this, bring it to a boil, and cover it and let it go for 15-20 minutes. Okay, I'm putting the salmon in. We're going to pan fry this in this electric skillet. Just so it gets brown on the outside, we'll flip it over. So about a minute on that side, because it's going to come back in and cook again. I suppose everyone's a little bit different, but I think salmon, like beef, should be medium rare. I think it should be a little pink in the inside. You don't want it all dried out. But it's hard to tell. I'm just taking some regular orange marmalade and putting it in here. We're going to melt that down a bit, and then we're going to return our salmon, put the lid on, and let it cook. What this is going to do is just create a glaze that goes over the salmon, which is, again, the nice really contrast. So I'm going to put the juice of 1 orange in here. I'll break that up, and the zest of 1 orange. This is Cara orange again. What most of our food today is made from. So you got to do this by your eye and see what size container you're cooking it in. This is a big electric skillet, so I want to get this all over so it caramelizes, and then I'm going to start returning my salmon to the pan. I'm going to put it in as tight as I can. I'm going to add just a little drop of water here to loosen this up a bit. Just hold on, don't dump that, I might need it again. And finally the last piece, the lid. Go back on. We'll just let it cook. So I hope you've enjoyed our time together, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And thanks because you've been in the kitchen with Padre.